Hello, Programming 11. We're going to be taking a look now at another object-oriented puzzle. We're going to look at some spikes. I'm going to call them spikes, but if you want to call them cones or mountains, whatever you want to call them is fine. But we're going to generate these kind of shapes using object-oriented programming and a little bit of trickery involving not drawing our background. I'll show you what these look like when I first run it. If I press it again, whoa, you see the circles are sort of tracing out these cones. They're not quite circles, are they? They're ellipses. And you can see they're just kind of rising and shrinking. That's basically what our new thing will do. It's going to be all of our objects are going to show themselves as an ellipse. They're going to increase or I guess decrease their y-coordinate to go up, and then they are going to shrink each time. And if we don't draw the background, then they'll kind of accumulate on the drawing surface. I'll just put in a background, 255, just so you can see what they look like, just as objects themselves. Eventually, they become just a single dot, and they end up just kind of stuck there doing nothing. You can make more of them, of course, and we can have many, many circles, but it starts to, get us into trouble in terms of lag as we go. But yeah, we can kind of play around with it. So here they are. Oh, there's so many cones. Wow. Mountain range of cones. So here's your chance to go give it a shot. It's quite similar in many ways to the Ripples project. So if you've just come off of that, have at her. But basically, that's the pattern, and we'll see how you do. I am going to just kind of be quiet for a moment. You can pause the video, go work on it, and when you're ready, come on back to see the answer. Okay? Okay, I'm assuming you paused it and went on and did the thing. If you got stuck or you're just done and you wanted to see how I did it, awesome, come on in. You'll notice the main tab is almost identical to our Ripples project or our Stars project. There's not a lot different. I do have an array of spike objects this time, and it's called spikes, and I can choose the number of them. So there's a little bit of differences, but I still create my array, and I still have this while loop that visits all of my spike elements in the array and instantiates new spikes. And then I have my loop that goes and visits all the spikes and tells them to show and shrink, which we'll get into in a minute what those are. So nothing too much has changed since those star or ripples. So the class is really where all the fun is. So this is my spike class. I'm keeping track of the following instance variables. So every spike has an x, a y, and a width. The width, you might wonder, what about the height? Well, I'm just going to make the height half the width, and then that'll give me a nice consistent, ovular shape. So my constructor, you may have noticed that all the x and y's are randomized. And then the width is also randomized in this range to give us a few small, a few big cones, spikes, whatever. And then that's it. That's all it is. And then in my show function, most of this is just to make sure it shows up with a video. So if you don't have it, it's probably not a big deal. But it's an ellipse that I'm drawing. Here's that width divided by 2, just to make sure that, I get that kind of fake orthographic projection going on. And then here's my shrink. The important thing is the if statement, I think. If you don't have the if statement, it continues to grow. It starts to grow instead of shrink, I think. I don't know. We should find out. But basically, it stops growing if the width gets less than 0. And then just every frame, the circle is rising and the size is decreasing. If I got rid of this if statement, let's just see what would happen. Madness will ensue, surely. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It continued to grow. And we got sort of hourglasses, I bet. Let's just put only a few of them on there. Let's see it. Yeah, that's what happens. So the if statement is pretty important to make sure it stops when the width gets to a tiny width, and then it just doesn't shrink anymore because all the code and shrink is inside that if statement. So that's what makes it stop. Okay, so there you go. That's the story behind spikes. I hope you were able to do that, and if not, that's totally fine, but hopefully you understand now that you've seen the explanation. And if you still aren't sure, call me over next time you see me. I'd be happy to help out. Okay, thanks, Programming 11.